Nice hat.
Thank you.
I got an easy one for you. I'm curious, what do you remember about meeting Jalen Waddle for the first time?
Um, so we were at Alabama, and I was going into my second year. Um, I mean, I remember we had one distinct memory. I remember we had a 7-on-7 throughout. It would be our training camp. So we had our fourth quarter program in the morning, lift, guys go to class, and then we had another part of it where we all come back to the facility. Then we have a 7-on-7 deal. And I remember throughout that 7-on-7 deal, I had my guys out there. Then the second group would go in, and I mean, you got the ball into his hands, you know. Prior to all the injuries that Waddles had over there, I mean, he was fast, yeah, super quick.
So after last game, you mentioned something about changing nutrition before games.
Mhm.
What were you talking about? What's new with how you approach game day?
Just carbing up more for the games, and then getting more fluids in. Yes, so.
You- Um, how does all that help?
Well, I think it definitely helps with just the aspect of the brain. I guess everyone would be wondering how did I feel on that hit and whatnot. Felt perfectly fine, felt great, and throughout the years that was one of the bigger things we hadn't addressed, was making sure that I got a good amount of carbs in my body, and so that as I drank water or as I drank the right stuff or whatever it was, that it stay in. And the doctors are talking about the liquid that your brain sits in and all of that, and so that was just the biggest aspect of all of that. With the
This year?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Now you got me curious, why
Yeah.
carbs? Why carbs?
Well, yeah, you'd probably think it'd make you heavier or slow you down in a way, for sure. Um, but I guess for me, from what I come to know or come to understand from what the doctors were talking about, is your brain kind of sits in fluids, and if I'm eating eggs, bacon, and sausage, and there's not much carbs, like if there's no bread or whatnot, you kind of drink water and it'll just flush out of you, so you can't stay hydrated that way. But the carbs kind of help soak that in and stay there.
Jalen, what have you seen from him in the past year or so that gives you confidence that, now that you guys are gonna lean and depend on him a lot more, that he's gonna step up for that?
Yeah, I mean, my first 3 years with him, first time he came to the league, he's been able to have 1,000-yard years. Those first 2 years in the league for him, and so it's one of those where we get right back into that. And Jalen understands the offense a lot better than he did the first year Mike came here. So I trust that he's going to be where he needs to be, and we've built that chemistry from Alabama all the way till now. But that doesn't Jalen knows that doesn't give way to me just always looking for him as the target. We got to go through the progression and see what the defense wants to run now that 10 is out. Do they still want to stay in the two high deals, or do they now like their matchups to where they can sort of crowd the box now?
With Waller, where are you in the chemistry development stage? I mean, obviously, first game, 2 touchdowns, pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But I know you're a quarterback who you like to get that work in to develop and,
Yes,
and
sir.
create a groove. Where are you in that?
We're still trying to work through that. The first touchdown throw to him was an eye opener for me, just given the length that he has. In a way, that was a trust throw where I felt like, dang, that was high that I threw that ball, and for him to get up and make a play like that kind of gives me more of an insight of what kind of ball I can throw to him if he's ever coming across the middle, or if it's a one-on-one matchup with him on a go bar or whatever that looks like. There's still some routes that we still got to tidy up and get on the same page with. And, a day like today, tomorrow, and Friday, we'll be able to work those kinks out.
Frank Smith's guy, as
Yeah.
I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
What did Frank tell you about Darren before you even got on the field?
The biggest thing that Frank told me is, as long as you put it in his vicinity and you give him a chance, he should come down with it. And even in practice, like when I tell you I've tried to do that, like, purposefully too. Like, he does come down with it, and it's pretty cool to see.
How does quarterback play change for you now, where the pass catching core isn't all speed everywhere?
Yeah.
You got a big guy like Darren Waller. You mentioned a throw that never worked for you. Did when you threw it to Darren Waller. How does it change for you?
I don't think it changes at all in terms of how we're looking at the scheme of what we're running, and then looking at the defense. I don't think it changes in that aspect. And with 10 being out, like I said, we're just trying to, now we're going to have to figure out what the defense wants to do. Are they going to play true to their own defense, given that there's only 17 out there, and then we have our other guys in Waller and they like their matchups, or are they still going to keep the shell?
To the last time Jalen was your, I guess, number one receiver, de facto number one, was that 2021 season when you had nothing really else. How did he perform, respectfully?
Yeah. I mean, you go ahead. Oh my. You're good, brother.
And he still went for 1,000 yards, 100 catches. I think. How did his ability to perform then in an offense that wasn't built like it is now teach you about what he can handle? When he is relied on to be the guy.
Yeah, it taught me a lot, because you go from college. College is such a different thing than coming into the NFL, and how he went about his business that year. Just things that we asked of him, and him knowing that as well. Like, he took it upon himself too that year that, like, I can't be a rookie. Like, this isn't the year for me to be a rookie. Like, I got to come in and I got to go and ball for this team. So I got the utmost confidence in J-Dub.
It was one of those where you had to grow up fast.
Yeah, no doubt.
With NWI and Taj Washington, you've even had the opportunity to work with Theo Weiss in periods where Tyreek wasn't working in the OTAs and the offseason. What have you learned about them? I'm sorry, D. Eskridge too.
Yep.
Don't want to exclude him. What have
sir.
you learned about them as an Arsenal?
Well, the difference with them and 10, as we all know, is the speed, right? So the timing of how those guys all come out of routes, whether it's an in-cut or an out-cut, is slightly different all individually as well, right? Taj is going to look different than NWI, than D, than Theo, all of those guys. And it's also, how much pace do I need to put on the ball if they're breaking and I'm throwing it before their break. And even go balls as well for those guys, just tracking the speed, how much air I need to put under the ball and whatnot. That's sort of the distinction that I've learned being able to throw to those guys.
Do you like bigger receivers? I mean, not that everybody likes bigger receivers, but Mike puts an emphasis on creating separation, which is his explanation on why he has small receiving unit. How would you play different with bigger targets?
I think there is a big difference when you're playing with someone of Darren Waller's stature, of NWI's stature, versus J-Dub, versus Reek, versus Taj, versus D, in terms of what you can do with manipulation and then how to get the throws there for those guys. Whereas 10 and 17, it's more, okay, if I manipulate this guy, I got to be able to get the ball up and down quick for them, because these guys could be way taller than them, and it's just one of those for them, right? Whereas D Wall, I mean, if it's a corner route and you're trying to hold that corner down, even if he gets back and you're throwing it high just for him, there's more of a potential that that's a catch than not.
Mentioned college being such a different game than the NFL. I think I might know the answer to this question, but then why does the college reps that you have with Jalen Waddle, why is that significant?
I think that that's significant because the plays in the NFL and the plays in college, they translate, but the only difference is the players, the scheme, how everyone is going about their business on the other side. That's I would say that's the only difference. But timing, how you're seeing it as a quarterback, in a way, it does translate, but it is a different game.
Once upon a time, it felt like how the league was built, especially at receiver. You wanted the 6'3" guy that can go up over anybody and grab it, and it feels like there's been kind of like this, I guess, migration toward separation, smaller guys that can get open. From your perspective as a quarterback, like what is more important, that the catch radius or just the ability to separate?
I think they're both important, but with every individual person, with the position that they play and the stature that they have, there's always a give and take, right? With Reek and Waddle, speed, but then the takeaway is the height or the go up and get it. In some of the one-on-one scenarios, maybe closer to the red area versus a bigger guy, maybe not as much separation, but if you can give them the best chance by putting a really good ball up there for them to get it, they can get it. But then the downside would be maybe separation.
Have you been
Tua,
able to
you
watch
mentioned a couple of times.
former Alabama quarterback Bryce Young? How much have you been able to watch him? What do you think of his career? So
Yeah, I've been able to keep up with him over there at Carolina. The thing with playing in this league, it's not easy, right? And I know he knows that, but he got to continue to keep pressing forward, keep doing what he's doing, not worry about what everyone else is talking about as he's trying to work through, his deals out there in Carolina. But I'm thinking of him. I'm praying for him. I hope he has a long career in the NFL.
Tua, you had mentioned a couple of times how defenses may change their approach now that Tyreek is out. What's your best guess? Do you think that they're not going to respect the deep ball as much? They're going to move safeties up?
Mm-hmm.
Does a run game have to show them that you can punish them that way?
I'm not too sure. We've had games where 17 was out and only 10 was in. We've had games where 10 was out and only 17 was in. And teams have gone to their normal base defense of what they would normally run from what we see on film. But I don't know, That's the beauty of football. We'll see on Sunday what they want to do defensively, if they do want to keep a shell, or if they want to fit the box and just tell us, hey, pass the ball on us, then, we'll adjust accordingly. Thank you.
Great.